Oh, hello there, traveller. What brings you to this? What am I doing here? I'm simply paying respects to an old friend. Oh, by the way, do you believe in ghosts? What is that over there? You should know by now, I can't do a good intro yet. For those of you who don't know, Creepypastas were these online horror stories shared around on the internet that were quite popular around 2012. Some of them were pretty good and others were shit. And so I decided, why not make a top 10 list of my favourite creepypastas from back when I was younger to nostalgia bait as many people as I can. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. For those of you who don't know, Jeff the Killer was a spooky image made back in 2008 on DeviantArt. Scary thing in itself, honestly. By username Cessure. I think I got that right. The story of Jeff the Killer is that he was an ordinary boy named Jeffrey Woods, who was set on fire by a group of bullies, which disfigured his face and made him become a violent psychopath that we all know today. The image of the Jeff the Killer face has sparked up a few rumours here and there, usually being a picture of some girl who had her image edited in an attempt to bully her. Cessure, the actual creator, in an interview debunks these claims, saying that the image was taken using a white latex mask with big rubber eyes, hence why the eyes look so big, I guess. There was also a video called Jeff the Killer Origin Story, which said he apparently had a brother named Lou. I personally wasn't a big fan of Jeff the Killer when I was younger, and I still don't think it's that great even now, but I do remember as a kid seeing Jeff the Killer in Roblox games and even mobile games, so the guy was very popular at the time, which is why I gave him the 10th spot. I don't really hate him, nor do I like him, but I think he deserves some recognition for being one of the most well-known creepypastas of all time. At number 9 we have the Seed Eater. The Seed Eater is this strange humanoid creature with a face that looks like a mask made from stitched up leather. The Seed Eater was created by username Pure Slime around 2011. Or was it Orphe666? I don't know. The story goes that a man went looking for a strange creature and the Seed Eater manipulated this person into giving him children to eat. The Seed Eater eats children, hence the name Seed Eater. The creature can also speak multiple different languages and is actually quite intelligent and can attack with sharp claws. Also, according to fandom.com, it can apparently turn adults into seed eaters. I don't know about that, but if that is true, then this guy's almost a world-ending threat. Believe it or not, my first time being introduced to the Seed Eater was actually from a Minecraft mod, the Creepypasta mod. The Seed Eater was one of those obscure creepypastas that not many people really knew existed, so I figured I'd add him into my list to give him some love. This one was also a very popular creepypasta, and in my opinion a unique one too. The Smile Dog was created by Michael Lutz, also known as Warren is Dead, back in 2010. The image you're seeing right now is the original Smile Dog, but he also has another form, that being his demonic or true form, depending on which you prefer. In the story, the Smile Dog doesn't actually exist. Well, it does, but it doesn't. Basically, if you see the image of Smile Dog, it'll enter your mind and try to make you spread the word by sharing the image to other people, be that through emails, texts, or whatever. If you do not do what Smile Dog says, it will begin to torment you in your sleep and can even lead to one taking their own life. This entity doesn't exist in the physical world and seems to want to get into as many people's heads as possible. The way this creature works kind of reminds me of SCP-513, the cowbell, in which when you ring it, you will be doomed to be tormented by a strange entity that will prevent you from sleeping until death eventually claims you. I also think this story is what led to a lot of people receiving a lot of spam emails of Smile Dog back when the story was all over the place. Maybe that was the intention? Who knows? On to our first gaming creepypasta. Mario I Hate You is a story by Slime Beast back in 2010. The story starts off with the author claiming to be a big fan of Super Mario, having played all the Mario games, and one day decided to go looking for a ROM to download. He plays the game as normal until he comes across a sunken ship level where he encountered a blind Boo blocking a pipe. The author takes the key and goes into a whirlpool, and then the Bowser head is all bloody and called, "Oh God, no." When entering the level, the author was running down this long hallway until a bloody bullet bill comes out of nowhere and kills the player. There was also the words "I hate you" written on the wall in blood. The author then had to use invincibility cheats to get past the bloody bullets bill. Some other creepy stuff happens, and then Mario has to fight and kill his brother Luigi, who reveals he had been helping Bowser kidnap the princess all along, with his last words being, "Oh God, no." After beating the game, rather than getting the usual endgame screen, he got this image. The reason why I really like this creepypasta is that not only was it a decent story, but it was also came with these screenshots which added to it. The only other gaming creepypasta I knew of at the time which came with some visual media like this was Ben Drowned. But yeah, other than that, it was just a well-made gaming creepypasta with some nice screenshots to go with it. Another reason why this, in particular, made it on my list is that this was actually the first ever gaming creepypasta that I ever saw, so there was that too. I'm willing to bet a lot of you know about this creepypasta thanks to a certain Five Nights at Freddy's fan game, Five Nights at Treasure Island. The story of Abandoned by Disney is based around an island called Treasure Island, now called Discovery Island, was an actual island that actually existed and was opened between 1974 and then was abandoned in 1999. According to the story, it was closed down because the waters were too shallow for boats to come in, and because the workers who were from the Bahamas and thus couldn't really adjust to a regular work schedule. But when I looked it up, Discovery Island was closed down for 3 reasons, that being dwindling attendance, the park was struggling to attract more visitors, maintenance costs because it became unsustainable leading to a financial strain, and animal cruelty allegations. PETA accused Disney of mistreating animals. I take it this was before PETA lost its credibility and went down the drain, eh? Anyways, the author then went to Discovery Island to try and find Mowgli's palace and saw words like abandoned by Disney. The story is quite long and interesting, with him eventually finding a photo-negative Mickey costume that then came to life and says, "Wanna see my head come off?" And then the costume tries to remove its own head, resulting in yellow blood pouring out. It was a really good story for me. Reason why I love it is because the island is in fact real, and they took this real life location and gave it a creepy spin. The photographs of the island to go with the story again. As I said before, visual media just makes it even better. Slenderman is in number 5 for me. He's alright, but he's not my favourite, nor is he my least favourite. If you don't know who Slenderman is, I feel like you shouldn't even be on the internet at all. I feel like even kids as young as 5 today know who Slenderman is. He's a really tall humanoid entity with no face, no hair, and wears a suit. There's pictures in black and white depicting him stalking and potentially kidnapping children. His story was first made in 2009 on the Something is Awful forums by Eric Knudsen. There was also an incident in real life in 2014 where 2 12-year-old girls lured their friends into the woods and stabbed her 19 times in order to appease the Slender Man. Slenderman also likes to kidnap children and take their souls. He also creates these things called proxies, which are basically people who are controlled and enslaved by the Slenderman. His popularity spiked massively when the game Slender: The 8 Pages was released in 2012 by Mark J. Hadley. The game is where you have to explore a forest and collect 8 notes without being caught by the Slenderman, with the difficulty increasing with every note you find. Sadly, as time went on, his popularity seemed to fade away, and then we found out that we would be getting a Slenderman movie. And it sounded like a good idea, until... I never saw that movie, by the way, and nor do I intend to, but I feel like the hype around Slenderman definitely resurfaced when they announced that they'd be making a Slenderman film, only to then have that hype just plummet after the film came out. Oh well. Still though, back in 2012, it was a good creepypasta. We're going back to gaming creepypastas again. Ben Drowned was a majorly popular creepypasta. The story goes that a guy got an N64 cartridge of the game Majora's Mask, but without a label and was written in black marker, Majora. When the guy bought the game, the guy selling it said goodbye then, but after thinking on it, he actually said goodbye Ben. The story is that he found a save file already on the game called Ben, and when he plays it, a bunch of strange things happen involving an elegy of emptiness, a Link statue that seems to kill the player and cause glitchy things to happen. This one was my first ever creepypasta that had visual media, videos you could watch with documentations on what actually happened, which was quite refreshing. You can find these videos on YouTube, which I highly recommend you do, if you find this one interesting. But to sum it up, his cartridge of Majora's Mask was actually haunted by a kid named Ben, who, you guessed it, drowned. This is one of those creepy stories that doesn't try to scare your socks off, rather than it tries to send an unsettling chill down your spine. And for that, it is one of the best creepypastas ever in my opinion. Most creepypastas should probably strive towards making you creeped out rather than trying to go all out. Candle Cove is a story about a show that once aired in 1971. A show about a little girl who went into a place called the Candle Cove and imagined herself with friends who were pirates on a ship called the Laughing Stock. The story seems to be about different people all talking about the same show. It's interesting because as you listen to it, you kind of use your imagination to depict what the show may have looked like, what it was like, and given how uncanny and disturbing the show sounds, it can often leave you wondering some really creepy stuff. The people describing the show mentioned that the ship, the Laughing Stock, would say things like, "You have to go inside," that there was a villain literally called the Skin Taker, which definitely does not sound like something that belongs in a kid's show. But then again, it was a different time back then, I guess. The show ends up sounding more sinister when the user states that the Skin Taker was a skeleton with glass eyes and he wore a hat and cape made from the skin of children. His mouth would move back and forth, and when the main character commented on it, he'd say, "to grind your skin." One of the users then asked their mom if she remembered Crystal Cave, and she'd say that they were basically just watching a static screen. This creepypasta was brilliant because it causes you, the reader, to imagine what the characters were talking about and describing just how uncanny and kind of terrifying the characters were due to how cheap and low budget the show seemed to be. And when you realise they were just staring at static, it doesn't seem like really scary, but it does seem eerie and disturbing. Truly an amazing creepypasta. Back into gaming creepypastas, this one is an obscure one that I really enjoyed. Berserk was an arcade game by Stern Electronics back in the 1980s, where you play as this guy who has to kill these robots and progress through the levels. Pretty simple stuff. It was created by Alan McNeil. McNeil based the game off a dream he had where he had to fight off robots in a dark corridor. Now here comes the game's main antagonist, Evil Otto, who looks like a happy face, but I assure you this thing is anything but friendly. Evil Otto is apparently the mastermind behind the robots and will spawn after a certain amount of time, chase the player. Cannot kill Otto, only run from him, and when he catches up to you it's game over. Evil Otto was named after McNeil's former co-worker Dave Otto, who according to him would smile while chewing you out. Berserk was one of the first games ever to feature speak synthesis, which is very common now, but back then it was one of the few games that actually talks to you, which would occasionally break the fourth wall for unsuspecting arcade players. What makes this creepypasta so high up on my list is that a popular cliche with gaming creepypastas that someone ends up dying as a result of the game. Berserk has unfortunately had 2 cases where people have died playing Berserk. These 2 people unfortunately passed away after making a high score. Jeff Daly and Peter Bukos had died from heart attacks, which only makes it more strange given that they were ages 18 and 19. This has of course led rumours that Berserk was cursed and Evil Otto was behind it. Personally, I think what happened is that they were so caught up trying to beat the game that their hearts just simply couldn't handle it. I mean, there had been many bad things that happened in arcades, like dehydration, overexhaustion, etc. I don't believe the Evil Otto curse to be real anymore, but I definitely did back when I was younger. Either way, this story has gone down as one of my most favourite creepypastas. Similar to Treasure Island, the fact that this was real only adds to it, and yeah, that's why it's one of my favourite creepypastas. Okay, so we're at one of my all-time favourite creepypastas. This is Polybius. This one is a bit more well known than Berserk and is a bit strange. So Polybius was an arcade game made back in 1981 by a German company called Sinneslöschen, which is German for sense deletion, and was only released in Portland and Oregano. From what I've been told, it's a puzzle shoot-em-up game like Tempest. It was apparently really popular with lines forming at arcades, just full of people really excited to play the game. However, some players said that they heard things while playing, like women crying, having nightmares afterwards, among other various things, including, unfortunately, people taking their own life. According to a few arcade owners, they'd say that men wearing black suits would turn up one day and just to collect data from the arcade cabinets. Nothing more. This has basically caused people to believe that Polybius was some kind of government experiment with subliminal messaging. 1 month after the game was released, suddenly all the Polybius arcade cabinets were gone, with one showing back up again in 1998, only for that one to also wind up missing. To be honest, a lot of people don't even believe Polybius to have even existed at all. Me personally, I don't really know. It is possible that it existed, but there's not really any evidence that Polybius was even real. In fact, when I googled it, a lot of results pretty much told me the whole thing was just a hoax. That said though, I did find this one Batman comic panel with Polybius in the background, so you know. Anyways, that concludes my top 10 creepypastas video. I hope you all enjoyed watching, and if you have any creepypastas you think would have been worth sharing, then I guess drop it in the comments. But other than that, have a nice day. Bye.